The force be with you.
Happy Repeal Day, everybody. December 5th. Prohibition was repealed, and that was exciting because, well, I'm assuming it would have happened at some point in time anyways, but, you know, without that, we wouldn't be able to be doing this. So, here's to that. Hope everybody's doing good today, and we have two awesome guests today. We have Doc Martinez of Old Fashioned Ways. He is a YouTube channel. I think, well, I'm going to let you tell the story, but I have an idea of what happened here. But Doc, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Before I do that, I do have to give a shout out to my wife. It is our anniversary today. I know it's December 5th, but I was thinking tomorrow was December 5th. So when I agreed to do this, I hadn't thought about that. So thank you, wife, for allowing me to be on here today. And if you guys don't see me after today, you know what happened. So, all right. So a little bit about me and Old Fashioned Ways. So I'm Doc Martinez. I started Old Fashioned Ways back in February 22nd of 2022. So if you know me, you know 22 is a big number in my life. So that's why there's 22s in everything I do. And you call my phone, there's 22s in everything. So I started because when I started drinking, I used to drink beer a lot. I found out I was diabetic. Beer shoots up the sugars, so you can't really drink beer. So I started looking, what else could you drink? And bourbon doesn't have any sugar in it, so it allows me to enjoy it without affecting my sugars at all. But at that time, I didn't have an acquired taste for bourbon. So, you know, what do? When you don't have an acquired taste, you kind of mix it, right? So old fashions was the way that I liked it. There's a little bit of sugars in there, but it wasn't enough to affect me. And I was actually doing it different ways so that the sugars weren't affecting me at all in that. And that's when I discovered that an old fashioned is a spirit of bitters, and sugar, right? And everybody else always assumes it's whiskey, like rye or bourbon, but it's any spirit. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. So now it made me want to think, how many different ways can I actually make an old fashioned? So I was telling my wife this. I said, I want to try to make it at least 1,000 different ways. And I'm at 100, like recorded versions. I have about 100, I think 27 or something like that right now. But when I said that to her, she said, you should name it Old Fashioned Ways. So I'll say, oh, I was telling her I want to do 1,000. I go, but I want to record it so I can prove that I did this, right? And so she said, you should name it Old Fashioned Ways. And I thought, you know what? Wife's on board. She gave me a great name. I'm starting this channel before she changes her mind.
Yep. Good plan. Good plan.
So that's how I started. My whole first year was nothing but old fashions. That's all I did. Well, as you're getting into old fashions, you're trying all these spirits, you're trying to do all these different things. You start acquiring the taste for spirits. And I learned that I like bourbon a lot. I mean, bourbon was my go-to with it. And I kept watching all these reviews with all these buddies online. I get to watch their reviews, but it was other people before I knew them. And they talk about how great this bourbon is, but then you can't get it. It's allocated. You can't try it, right? And, you know, as you become more and more in the community, you get lucky enough to have those connections to be able to grab some of those bottles and get some of those allocations, you know, because of connections and friends and, you know, just a community that's a great community. So I decided that if I'm going to do any reviews on them, I'm going to do reviews and I'm going to share. So that's my thing. I do a review. I share some of the sample, no matter what it is, you know, I've done Pappy. I have like over here, you know, Michter's, single barrels. I have everything that I have that I've ever done a review, I share. So, and if you ever watch one of my lives, I share a lot on my lives. Like, we give away a shit ton.
I caught one the other day, and yeah, you were giving them out like Halloween candy.
Oh yeah, and that's the fun part of it. The hard part is not that part. The afterwards of trying to gather all the information, get everything packaged, and hand deliver everything to everybody. You know, so that's always fun. Yeah. So that's a little bit about myself. That's how I got to here. You know.
Excellent. Well, I wish you luck on the wife front, that she doesn't murder you for not forgetting the anniversary, but planning something.
Guys, look into it. If I mysteriously disappear or happen to pass away in my sleep,
Well, does she watch a lot of crime documentaries?
More recently, huh?
Uh-oh. And Adam, I think a few of the people in the chat know who you are, but for those of you who do not, Adam is the co-founder of a little whiskey company called Lost Lantern. But before Lost Lantern, Adam, what started you in your whiskey path, and what have you gone through in whiskey?
Yeah. So I first got into the whiskey industry. It's a little over 11 years ago now. I was a journalist. I was writing about video games for Newsweek and started hosting fun cocktail parties in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where I lived at the time. It's a big loft and could have people over to drink fancy absinthe cocktails and gin cocktails and like that. Fell in love with spirits through that, and then that eventually started to move into whiskey. And I was already a journalist, and I moved over to a trade magazine about the spirits business, which eventually led me to learn even more about whiskey and then move over to Whiskey Advocate, which is the country's first and largest whiskey magazine. And in that position, I got to review uh, American whiskey from all over the country, write about whiskey from all over the world, and really sort of made whiskey from newer distilleries in the U.S. my beat, because no one was really covering them all that much at that point or taking them all that seriously. And that sort of led me into the idea for Lost Lantern, which my co-founder Nora, who's also my wife, and I started as an independent baller to shine a light on the best American whiskey from around the country and with full transparency where everything comes from. And now we've worked with more than 3 dozen distilleries in more than 20 states all around the country. So it's been a long and winding road. My first whiskey love was certainly on the Scotch side, falling in love with early on cheap things like Speyburn 10-year-old, and then moving up to some really special things. Great thing about being a journalist is you get to try whiskeys you would never be able to afford in a million years otherwise. So
that has to be a cool part, a perk of that.
Yeah. When my coworker and I were initiated into Whiskey Advocate officially, we had we were brought down to the company's cigar lounge. They also owned Cigar Aficionado magazine, and the owner of the company had somehow scored a bottle of Port Ellen. And with the rest of the editors of the magazine, we not only got to taste the whiskey, we actually got to drink the whiskey the way that you would with any other whiskey. It's just that it's a 36-year-old whiskey from a distillery that had been closed, I think, since before I was born. And it's really an incredible experience to get to enjoy the whiskey the way you would something else rather than just like a tiny whiskey.
Yeah, just yeah. No, that's so cool. That's like a top tier dream for a lot of people to be able to try something like that, and they never get to achieve it. So that's awesome. But yeah, Whiskey Advocate, awesome. I mean, awesome title, awesome job, and being able to do what you were doing for them. I mean, that had to be just wild. Just because at the time, I don't think craft distilling was as big as it is now, and it had even grown since when it kind of started. So I know, like, was it like 2007 or so? There was only like 50 craft distillers in the States.
Yeah.
And now where are we at? We got to be over 2,000 something.
Yeah.
So that's just wild.
More than 90% of distilleries in the United States have opened since 2010.
Yeah. So cool. But so without any further ado, guys, I kind of gave you the rundown a little bit backstage on how this works. For those of you watching at home, they have 3 samples in front of them that I sent them. Samples were picked from a randomizer out of my open bottles collection, which at the time of picking the samples consisted of 444 open bottles from whiskeys all over America, Scotland, Ireland, Japanese, Canadian, Australian. I'm trying to think of the rest of them, but whiskey in any category of whiskey that you can think of, there's something in there. They are going to try to guess the category of whiskey, the generic ABV or proof, the generic casking. They are also going to try to guess those 3 categories in specifically. And then they get bonus points for picking a distillery and a exact bottle if they can. Guys, I like to run it about 15 minutes per sample. If it goes a little over, it goes a little over. No big deal. So go ahead and get started in on sample number 1. And I will do a little roll call while you are sniffing and tasting.
Well, cheers. And may the force be with you, sir.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you for having us.
We got a spicy strawberry in the chat first tonight. No, Joe. Joe is actually getting a tattoo, so he couldn't join us tonight for right now. I would hope he's watching on his phone while he's getting inked, though. That would be the dedication that I expected from Joe. But Spicy says, thank you for congrats on the 150 subs. Thanks. I was at 149 when I looked earlier today, so somebody else subbed to me today. Excellent. Thank you to whoever you were. We got a Whiskey Addict Mike in the house. We got the Whiskey Deke in the house, who so far is the points leader of this season at 15 points. So that is that's our benchmark right now, 15 points. Joe is here. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you jumping in while you're getting inked. Bourbon Hall, thank you for popping in. The Whiskey Shaman is here, dropping links. Thank you, buddy. We got Corey. How you doing, Corey? William Roper, Whiskey Fudge. How you doing, Whiskey Fudge? Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. Old Fashioned Ways is here, I hope. Absolutely happy repeal day, Randall. Yes, I am wearing a Packer sweatshirt. They do play tonight. Actually, they just started, so I know this is sacrilegious to Wisconsin people to not be watching the game at the moment, but just a small disclosure, I do actually have it on my phone right here. So.
Did you see that guy that had the cheese grater on his head that one time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we get that all the time.
That was pretty funny.
That actually is funny. If you can see the humor in it as a fan, that's a better way to be. Tom Black is here. How you doing, Tom? Oh, yes. Anna Martin is here. Whiskey Franco. Jason Coates in the house. How you doing, Jason? Joe Combs in the house. How you doing, Joe? Oh. Drew. Thanks for joining, Drew. Were you on the wrong account, Joe? Because then Joe's Whiskey Den shows up a minute later. All right. That is everybody in the chat that I seen. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I was scrolling through pretty fast, but I think I got everybody. And before anybody asks, because you always do, I am actually drinking, like I do on December 5th every year, the Great Lakes Distillery Repeal Reserve. What this is a single barrel of rye whiskey. They distill it on December 5th. They put it in a barrel, and then they release it 5 years later on December 5th. And every year they distill 1 barrel's worth of stuff to put in, and every year they release a 5-year-old product on repeal day. Comes in 375s. You have to buy it at the distillery, and it sells out within about 3 hours usually. But it is a pretty darn good rye. Great Lakes Distilling, if you've ever had. I cannot think of what the name of their rye whiskey is anymore. Dirty Helen, I think that might be their bourbon. Roaring Dan's, maybe. I don't know. But they make an excellent product. So I always find it interesting that they only do a single barrel of stuff. What happens if that single barrel goes bad sometime and they have to release it at 5? That's it. Like I would, if it was me, I would love to have a backup plan just in case. But maybe they just don't release it. I don't know.
I'm sure that's certainly what my trick would be. Was like if you always do a single barrel, if it doesn't meet your needs, then you say, all right, we're skipping it this time and move on.
Just not do it this year. And guys, just so you know, if you banter back and forth with each other and try to throw each other off their game, absolutely allowed. If you guys want to talk about the whiskey and collaborate with each other, that is absolutely allowed. But the chat does like to hear some tasting notes every now and then to see what you are possibly getting.
Well, getting a little bit of spice on this one, which I'm liking. The taste is staying on that tongue just nicely. I get it. I like that it's not all like drinks that you get kind of coat most of the tongue, and this coats 2/3 of my tongue, a little bit of my roof, which when it does that makes me salivate. So I'm salivating a little bit because this is a good pour. It's rather light, so I'm not thinking it's that old. So, but you have a lot of rye on your list here that, could you give us that list to kind of scan through? Yep. And this tastes like something I've had before, and there's a lot of rye I've not had on your list. So I'm, that's kind of what I'm going with, trying to base it off of that. So.
Yeah, that's and I've heard it both ways with that list. Some people like to use it. Some people think it's overwhelming and it makes it worse. So I give you the option, but everybody has the same option. That way there it's fair. And I did that this year because one of the contestants, or well, now for this season, a couple of the contestants actually have been inside of this room and were able to pick through these bottles and drink whatever they liked. And then a couple other people that were on the show last season were on the Discord with me, and I share all the bottles that I get on there. So they had a really good idea of what was in the collection. So I figured I'd fair it up for everybody and just let everybody know what's all in there.
Cool. So I think even if I was in your room, I wouldn't have guessed. You have so many there; it'd be hard to remember what you had. But
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I have a great memory for stuff that I really want to remember, and I have a hard time with this.
I think Nora said this when she did this too, but I always find blind tasting to be very humbling because you can know a ton about whiskey and then just get totally smoked. So that's sort of the fun of it.
Oh yeah, that's what I like about blind. So this is my first time doing a challenge like this, and I appreciate you inviting me to do this. That's my goal. I want to start doing that. So how everybody, we get a lot of samples. We're blessed that people send us a lot of samples. So I've been saving my samples because that's kind of what I want to do in the beginning of the year. I wanted to start doing tasting them blind, giving my opinion on it, seeing if I can guess close to it, just so I can get better at stuff like this, so that my palate gets better, it gets more in depth, and I can start tasting things. And so when I do my reviews, I give even better reviews. I want to increase my palate as much. So this is my first starting point. So you just de-virginize me on this. So
hey,
I hope there's lube in this. We'll find out by the end of this with my points, but.
It is extremely humbling. This is an extremely hard thing. And I mean, even, so I would say somebody that does this very, very professionally, obviously, Adam, you do for Lost Lantern, but Jack the Hood Sommelier, I mean, that's his business. That's what he does. He tastes and talks about whiskey and tries to, figure everything out with the taste. And he scored 10 points. So, I mean, blind is tough no matter who you are, how much experience you have, or how many whiskeys you've drank. Blind whiskey tasting is tough.
Get something stuck in your head, it's hard to get that out of your head,
Yes, it's extremely hard. And as different as they all are, they all do have a similar vein in them,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like I pretty quickly started down a certain path, and if that path at the beginning was right, then I'm in good shape. And if it was off slightly, then I'm just in a totally different world.
Yeah, because you commit to it. And if you're wrong in that first part of it, you're wrong. You're pretty much wrong through the whole thing. So I agree. But whatever this first pour is, I like it. So can't wait to find out what it is at the end.
I like it too. At first, I wasn't totally sold on it, but I'm warming on it as I've tasted it a couple times now. I'm very curious what it is. It does have a lot of like baking, like light baking spice to it, not too intense clove, but just like a little bit of nutmeg or something like that. I think I got my answers.
I got all mine down too.
Cool.
You're both ready. Perfect. Adam, let's start with you on this one.
Okay. Here goes nothing. Generic category. I'm going to say bourbon. Do I go through all of them and then we'll?
Yep.
Generic ABV. I said 98. Generic casking. I said new. Specific category. I said standard mash bill bourbon. So not high rye, not peated, just kind of regular. Specific ABV 100. New American oak cask. Guessing 4 years old. And if I were to guess the exact distillery and bottle, I would say the Holiday, Missouri Bottled Bourbon.
Holiday Bid.
I look forward to hearing that I'm on the wrong continent altogether. That's the fun.
All right, Doc, go for it.
So I went the opposite way. That spice made me think it was a rye.
Okay.
But it's funny because I at first thought, is this a rye or is this a high rye? I thought maybe it's a bourbon high rye, but I went with rye, stuck with my guns there. Generic ABV, I went 115. Generic casking, I went new. So for specific category, straight rye. I don't think this is finished at all. ABV, specific ABV, I put 115.8. So I kept thinking 115, 116 in there. So I go, let's go a little bit higher on that. New American Oak. And we're not supposed to do the age, right? No age.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. So age guess, write it down, but don't tell me.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I didn't hear it anyway. So.
Perfect.
And then Exact Distillery. I feel like this is something I've tried before. So on your list, I saw New Riff, and it kind of rang a bell with me. So I put New Riff. New Riff single barrel rye.
Okay. All right. Excellent guesses all the way through.
He's like, and you're both wrong. It's a malt.
No, I don't. I don't try to do that.
No, I'm just joking.
Go ahead and get into sample number 2.
So different right away. Jeremy, are you still drinking the same thing, or are you switching it up when we switch it up?
Yes, I still got the same glass. I
What
have one other.
What were you drinking earlier? Or what are you drinking?
It's Great Lakes Distilling out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it is their Repeal Reserve. So what this is a single barrel that they make, 1 barrel's worth of spirit. They fill it on December 5th. 5 years later, they release it on December 5th.
That's
So
super cool.
Every year they keep cycling that over and over again. And yeah, it's very cool. You have to buy it at the distillery, and I don't get down there very often, but they usually sell out really quick. I have a friend who lives down there that goes in and pretty much buys a case of it every year. So I usually pick one up off of him if need be.
And this one's got a different funk to the nose, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A different funk to the nose. So, Doc, do you have a standard schedule that you do your live streams on or post videos to? And I mean, do you have a schedule that you try to keep to?
For videos, I try to do Tuesdays. I try to do reviews or blinds, something like that, something fun like that. And then on Fridays, I try to. Fridays I try to do my old fashions. I still do an old fashioned a week as well. I try. And for lives, it's just when I'm home. I like the month of December. I'm not home any weekend except for. I wasn't even supposed to be home next weekend, but I will be. So I'm gonna do. I'm thinking about doing a live next Friday if I can. But for the most part, the lives are just whenever I'm available. So I wish I had more time to do them. I enjoy lives. I enjoy the community. I enjoy having fun with them. So I wish I could do more.
Yeah, it is fun. You know, especially when you get, you know, and obviously every person that does this has the standard group of people in the chat, and I love these people. They're just fantastic. And to see the same names over and over again every week, it's just like I love that they want to come back and they want to see it again.
And that they take that time to spend the time with us, you know, because time is the limited commodity. And you know, Friday, Saturday, they could be doing anything else, but here they are spending time with us. I just love that. I appreciate that. I really do. And that's why I love to give away so much when I'm doing my lives. I want to make it fun. I want them to have a chance to get something, you know, in return for spending that time with me. I want to give them something in return as well.
Absolutely. All right. While you guys are going to do that, I'm going to run through the sponsorship ads right quick. It'll be about 30 seconds. Richard's Liquors, our main sponsor of the show. Thank you so much to you guys, Zach and the crew down at Richard's Liquors. For all of you wondering what a dick pic is, it is when he does a store pick, it is dubbed a dick pic. I love the acronym. I love the funny about it, and we just run with it. So there's a lot of dick references to Richard's Liquors, and it's absolutely fantastic. So, but yes, if you ever have travel plans to Wisconsin and you do want to do a little looking around, bottle shop and whatnot, it is not a complete trip without a stop at Richard's. So they are pretty much centrally located, so they're easy to get to from just about anywhere in the state. Also, thank you to our other sponsors, our friends and sponsor 10th Mountain Whiskey. They are making rye, bourbon, American single malt, as well as brandy, cordials, moonshine, and a potato vodka. You can visit them in person at the distillery in Vail, Colorado, or you can visit them online at 10thwhiskey.com. Moderators, could you please drop the link? And they are shipping to 41 states. So if you see something on the website that you like, chances are you can get it. Also, distribution is getting pretty good. So if your local retailer isn't carrying them and you would like them to, please ask them and they will see what they can do to get in there. Also, our friends at the Bourbon with Friends podcast. Anywhere where you listen to podcasts, Bourbon with Friends is available there. Also on YouTube, but whatever way you do it, join Adrian, Brian, and Martin for a great podcast, bringing in great guests. Adam, I think you were a guest on Bourbon with Friends. But talking about all things whiskey and spirits with some fantastic guests, and you can find out how a Bourbon with Friends can change the world. Yeah, Randall, thank you. And 10th Mountain was also a guest on the Whiskey Shaman podcast, so that was cool.
So different than the first one.
Corey, 28 states that's where they're at in stores. I think that's correct. Wisconsin Rapids, Sean. So it is a little bit north of Wisconsin Dells, a little bit south of Wausau, if you know Wisconsin at all. But Wisconsin Dells, pretty much everybody knows where that is. So you're about 45 minutes to an hour north of the Dells.
I'm more confident in what style of whiskey that I think this is, which means I'm probably even more totally wrong.
Oh, that's good because I'm less. Ah.
Yeah, you missed out, Jason. You missed out. No, it's a great place. Also, speaking of dick pics, if I do or my group does a pick in Wisconsin, the law is it has to be sold at a retail location. I can't do the pick, buy the stuff, and distribute it or sell it on my own. It has to go through a retailer. So that is the store where anything that I pick would be.
So do you hand deliver at all?
Mhm.
That's good.
I do. Yes, I hand deliver a lot. I drive all over this great nation.
All right, I got my best guesses down.
Adam, you're ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're ready. Doc, you're ready. All right, cool. Doc, we're going to start with you this time.
All right. So generic category. So I'm going single pot still.
Okay.
Generic proof 86. Generic cask new. Oh, I forgot to put the age here. Let me see. Okay. Specific category. I'm thinking this is an Irish single pot still. Specific proof. I'm sticking with 86. Specific casting. Oh, I forgot to write that one down. What was specific casting supposed to be? I skipped that one.
Whatever casking you think it is. So generically, you said new.
Generic, I said used. So specific.
Oh, you said used. Okay.
Yeah, used.
Good thing I said that because
yeah, specific casting. I guess I mean used bourbon. I mean it's since I think it's one of an Irish whiskey. Don't they use our cask for it? And then exact distillery. So I'm thinking I'm thinking this is like Yellow Spot or something like that, but I can't remember who Yellow Spot's distillery is. I think it's Middleton, but I can't remember for sure. So I'm going with Middleton.
I'm not giving you an answer, but that is correct. Yellow Spot is made at Middleton.
Okay, good. I was like, crap.
That's where I think some of the harder stuff comes into when you have to. I mean, that some of those distilleries are a distillery that has nothing to do with the label. And it's information you gotta look it up. Adam, what do you got?
I am completely different, which will be very fun. So I said generic category for this one, malt. Generic proof said 94. Generic casking, new American oak. Specific category, I think this is American single malt distilled on the grain, i.e. not louder. Specific ABV, I said 90. Specific cask, new American oak again. Age guess, I'll keep secret this time. I have a guess for the exact bottle. The exact distillery for that bottle is unknown/undisclosed. I don't know if I can say that. I haven't think it's been ferreted out yet. The exact bottle that I think this is the Bullet American Single Malt.
The Bullet?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That is tough because they don't tell you the distillery. Now, I do have a friend that works for Diageo. So I have a very good idea of the distillery, although he never did specifically tell me. But He pretty much did. So
I'm trying to ferret it out pretty hard and have not gotten the definitive answer yet. But let's see.
it's yeah. Okay. I will tally those up. And you guys can move into sample number 3. Sorry. When I put last one, there was one good cop.
What's good cop, bad cop? Is that a pick?
Yeah, that is actually my first barrel pick of a local distillery to me. And we went in to pick one barrel, and we sat down, and there was only 3 to choose from. That's all he had left for aged stock. And we tried one of them, and it was like, yeah, this one's okay, but it's very similar to a standard profile. But then the other 2 were like really different from standard profile, and then very different from each other. And we kind of chatted about it. We ended up taking both of those barrels, so we went good cop, bad cop. It was kind of a fun thing. But I will say this, that was an awesome experience to be able to do that.
I want to say the color on this one is crazy. It's so light.
Yeah, as I was looking at. I wanted to smell it before I tasted it, make sure it wasn't like something that we're not supposed to be drinking.
This is the hardest one. I'm curious.
I haven't even had to use my poker face yet, Drew.
That means we're doing bad. That's what that meant.
That's exactly that.
No, so a lot of times the chat will try to guess what you guys are drinking when you talk about it, and sometimes they actually do a really good job with the guessing.
They successfully triangulate between 2 sets of completely wrong guesses to the correct one. That's pretty impressive.
Well, so like last night's show, Megan was talking about the whiskey being very, very sweet. And somebody in the chat suggested that it was finished in a dessert wine, and it was a Takai finished whiskey. So, I mean, it's just, they're very, the chat does some really good stuff sometimes. And I do have to keep a poker face on. And sometimes the guests will say things that are like, just,
I guess I should
just go with it.
I should be reading the chat a little bit more, huh?
Yeah.
This is super light. It's very malty to me, so that's what it is to me. But it's a very light malt, so that's young. When I first saw it, I was thinking a light whiskey, but it's not on my tongue for sure.
And then for my second pour of the evening, I'm honoring Adam here with the 9.99 year Westland. I think it's more fun. I think it's more fun to say 9.99 than it is to say 10 year.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's just it's Westland that's gone away. Like, you can't get this anymore.
I love the new American peat, the Washington peat today.
I do too. I love the Solom. I dearly love the Solom series. But there is something about this that I hope they have more of these sitting at Westland that they can come out with at a period of time. Because I think what was happening was when they were releasing that stuff before, it was pretty young yet. It was in the 4-year range, and it just wasn't right yet. This seems right.
This is a really hard one. I'm gonna be mad when I find out what this is.
There's a question for you, Adam, because I don't know the answer.
Not that we're not going to come to Missouri or Illinois next year. Illinois after that, probably. Missouri, I'm not sure about.
And Sean, do you mean availability or coming to take to whiskey out of distilleries in those states?
Availability wise, you can buy it online through our retail partners, and I believe have it shipped to both those. I think Sealbox ships to Missouri, but don't quote me on that. And I know at least one of our retail partners does ship to Illinois. Should probably start writing things down for this one.
Yes, Martin, straight out of the barrel is correct on the sister cast to the Good Cop, Bad Cop. I think you, what was it? The first summer of bourbon, you had Iron Root in there.
Yeah, we've done 3 different Iron Root barrels actually. We did our very first release had an Iron Root corn whiskey. We did an Iron Root bourbon in 2022, and we did one last year in our summer bourbon, which is also a bourbon. But, yeah, one of my favorite Texas distilleries, favorite small distilleries anywhere in the country.
Sean, I totally understand that. But I do know that they do ship to Illinois for sure. That I do know. I don't know about Missouri. I have friends in Illinois, so they weren't shipping. You guys weren't shipping there for a while, and then all of a sudden you are. So that's cool.
Yeah, every release that we've done from Iron Root has sold out in less than 24 hours. So it's feels like it ends up not being a good way for new people to discover Iron Root, because the people who already love Iron Root but can't get it outside of Texas snap it up.
Yeah.
Super cool. Super cool.
I mean, you're not wrong, Drew. I don't actually, you know what? I don't think I have the Iron Root. No, I don't. I didn't get hardly any of the first summer of bourbons. That was the when you guys released that. That was my period of time where I swore off bourbon, and I didn't buy bourbon for like a year.
Wow, that's a long time.
Good evening, Donald. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, it was. It wasn't quite a year. It was like, but it was like 8 or 9 months. I didn't buy a single bourbon for 8 or 9 months.
Wow. And it's hard for me to go like 3 days without buying a bourbon. Or why?
The problem that I have now is like I'm doing a lot of sales visits myself. Like I run our New York sales and pitch in Massachusetts too. That means I keep going to all these amazing whiskey stores and try to sell them Lost Lantern, and then I usually end up walking out the door with a bunch of scotch that I can't get in Vermont and bourbon that I can't find around here, and it's a big problem for my collection.
That's not a bad thing. That doesn't sound like a problem to me. The problem is spacing. Like I need more shelving because I don't have enough shelves now. You know.
Yeah. I added this second this second little cabinet here just to house the Lost Lantern bottles, and then it conveniently has a thing underneath it where all my glasses go in, and then all my samples that people have sent me go in there. So that worked out to kind of open up some of this a little bit. But now I have very little. I have to have the short bottles to fill these two sections, but I have a little extra room left from doing that. And then I have a cabinet downstairs that I keep all my overflow and backups and stuff I haven't opened yet. The Floor Whiskey Gang. Yes, sir, Dan. Nice to see you. Thanks for popping in. Floor Whiskey was the reason for doing this room. I cannot stand Floor Whiskey. I find it annoying. But it's a funny thing.
It's a fun game, isn't it? Because
it is, yeah.
Especially like since I try to keep everything that I get on the side of me so that I can do my my bottle haul for the month, and then I need to make rooms when I do my live, so I have the whiskey I'm drinking that night next to me, and so and then I'm trying to get around, and I got to the point where I feel like a little bit of a hoarder behind me because I haven't organized it. I like to keep my stuff organized. I'm not very organized right now, so
yeah.
But I plan to fix that this coming year. My wife's going to hear that. She's going to make me do it sooner than later. But yeah, that's my goal. So Adam, I have a question for you, sir.
Yes.
I have unfortunately not tried Lost Lantern. Where should I start? Like, where should be my first Lost Lantern I should try?
Are you mostly? What's your first love for whiskey? Is it bourbon?
Bourbon, but really quickly, where eyes are taking that over. I really like both of them, but bourbon is I have more bourbon than anything.
Okay, I would probably say that one of our two flagship blends are Far Flung Rye or Far Flung Bourbon, which are both blends of bourbon and rye from across the country. No MGP or Bardstown or the usual places, which are great, but we want to play with whiskey from farther afield. So Far Flung Rye is all Midwestern rye. Far Flung Bourbon is from all over the place. Those are both whiskeys that reflect that great bourbon and great rye now come from all across the country. So I think that there's a fun place to start, or look through what we got and find a distillery that you've never heard of before and sounds intriguing, and just go for that.
And Lost Lantern is sold in Texas? I'm in Texas, so just
we through our online retail partners, yeah, you can
okay, so just get online and do that one. Perfect. Thank you.
I'm embarrassed to say we're not floor whiskey people, but we are basement whiskey people. And I used to laugh about how there's so many wine people who have these beautiful wine cellars with hundreds of thousands of dollars of wine in them. And then a lot of high-end whiskey collectors will have tremendously valuable whiskeys just sitting in cardboard boxes in their basement. I'm glad to see in the last couple of years a lot more people have been building beautiful whiskey rooms like people like that. So to have all that really special stuff, you may as well display it nicely, not just having a falling apart box.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys ready on this one?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam, you're ready?
Ready as I'm going to be.
Adam, we're going to start with you on this one.
This was a hard one, so I would be very curious. Generic category for this one, I said malt. ABV 100. Used casking. Specific category, I went for Irish single malt. I'm not totally sure about that, but we'll see. It has definitely like malt to me, but it has this like forward fruitiness that I would usually not expect from a Scotch. So specific ABV 100. Cask just said used. Age I'll keep to myself. Exact distillery, I'm saying Cooley, and exact bottle, the Teeling single malt.
The exact bottle was what?
Teeling single malt.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever had Teelings.
And then your specific ABV, did you stay at 100?
Yes.
All right, Doc, run them down, buddy.
I just have a curious. How's your team doing? Are your Packers winning right now?
My phone went black, so
I was just curious. I made me think about it.
I'm sure somebody in the chat will let me know.
Yeah, my daughter's like, I'm a Cowboy fan, which is a hard team to be a fan of right now.
Yes,
and I get texts throughout the game. I get so many texts just to give me crap, So,
yeah.
All right. Generic category. I'm completely different again than him. I malt. Well, I did malt, so that's I think the same. Generic ABV 95. I mean 92. I kept going back between the two. 92.
92.
Generic casking, new and used. Specific category, American malt, single malt. Specific ABV 92.2. Got my 22 in there. Why not?
There you go.
Specific cask, so New American, and then I think there's like a little funk in the back of this, but of course I don't. Malts are not my thing, so I'm just gonna say it's a tequila finish. I don't know if there's even a malt out there that's a tequila finish or not, but that's
quite a few actually.
In the back, I don't drink any malts. That's one of those things I'm gonna try to do this next year is try to drink malts. Ages myself, Exact Distillery. I don't know American malts at all. I didn't see Westward. Westward on your thing, so I'm just putting Westward. They do malts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then exact. I just put your SMWS. I didn't have a clue on these, so
got it. All right, now is my mouse back? My mouse is back. Excellent.
Can I ask one question before you do the reveal?
Absolutely.
A bonus survey question. I'm curious for both of us before we know they are. Which one of them is your favorite?
Which one of these three is my favorite, or?
Well, ask him. No, you're not tasting them, but for the two of us.
One's more my profile, so one.
Yeah. I think one is 3-1.
3-1-2, and I'm one. I'm probably 1-2-3.
If you snuck a Lost Lantern in here, and I just went last. Let me know.
So I do little disclosure, Adam. The most of the people in the chat thought it would be really great if you and Nora got Lost Lantern bottles in your sample set and got them wrong. I agreed. I thought that was going to be funny, but we will see what happens here. I don't know.
Hey, Adam, before we get the results, you want to do a little side wager here?
Oh boy!
If you win, I send you a Texas bottle, and if I win, you send me one of your bottles. Yeah, hand deliver. We'll hand deliver to each other.
Sounds like fun.
All right. Side bets. I like side bets. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for letting me know. You're a good friend.
We're losing.
Okay, so
the Cowboys.
So, Doc, you said your favorite sample was number 1. Adam, did you share that with him? Is that your favorite sample as well?
My favorite sample is number 3.
Number 3. Okay. All right. So, sample number 2 is where we are going to start. Okay. Sample number 2. Adam, you said malt is a generic category. Doc, you said single pot still. Neither one of you got a
You're cutting out.
I can't hear you.
Is that good? We back?
Yeah.
Okay. It is actually a rye whiskey. Adam, you said 94 proof. Doc, you said 86. Adam, you do take a point on that. It's actually at 96 proof. So you are within the 2. Generic casking. Adam, you said new. Doc, you said used. Adam, you're going to take a point on that. It is new casking only. Then Adam, you said American single malt. Doc, you said Irish single pot still. Neither one of those. It is a straight rye whiskey. Maryland style rye whiskey to get very specific. Adam, you changed your proof to 90. But Doc, you changed kept yours at 86, so no points there. Kept your casking at new, Adam. Doc, you said ex-bourbon, so Adam, you're going to take a point on that one. Exact Distillery, you went with the undisclosed distillery that makes the Bullet single malt. And Doc, you went with Middleton Yellow Spot. It actually is Great Northern, and this is their regular standard release rye whiskey. In between 3 and 4 years old. Generally, it's a little blend. It is rye malt, and corn is the mash bill. And just one of my absolute favorite little ryes. I love this guy.
Even saying it's a rye, I went back and tasted it. It does not taste like a rye to me.
There's a lot, generally a lot of citrus on it, depending on the amount of what the blending on it and stuff like that. But I generally get a lot of citrus on it, a little bit of anise. So it does hide its rye characteristics very well, but that's because it's got a high proportion of rye malt in it. So
I can definitely taste the malted rye. That makes sense to me.
all right. So then we will move on to sample number 1. Adam, you said, I forgot. So that ended, sample number 2 came out at a 3-0 on that one. In favor of Adam. Okay, sample number 1. Adam, you said bourbon. Doc, you said rye. Doc, you're going to take a point on that. It is a rye whiskey. Proof, generic proof. 98 for Adam, 115 for Doc. Doc, you were really close, but it is actually at 120 proof. You both said new casking for generic. You're both correct. You both take a point there. Adam, you said straight bourbon. Doc, you said straight rye. You are going to take a point on that. It is straight rye. You came up on your proof a little bit, but not quite high enough. Doc, you went 115.8. Adam, you went at 100. It is 120. You both stayed with the new casking, so you're both taking a point on that one. Holiday Bib was your guess for the bottle and distillery, Adam, and New Riff Single Barrel, Doc. It is actually Journeyman Last Feather Rye. This one happens to be a single barrel cast strength, but the Last Feather Rye is their standard rye whiskey, and they offer it in both single barrels and their regular output. So that was a score of 2-4 in favor of Doc.
Ooh, so we're close.
5-4 right now.
5-4 right now, yep. And moving on to sample number 3. You both said malt for the generic category. You are both correct. You both take a point on that. It is malt whiskey. Adam, you said 100 proof. Doc, you said 92. It's actually 122.2.
Oh, wow. It does not drink like that.
No, it does not. You are correct.
122.2?
Yeah, I figured you would like that with your 22.
I do like that. I wish I would have guessed that.
Adam, you said used barrels. Doc, you said new and used. Adam, it is used only. There's no new oak here. You're going to take a point on that one. The specific category. Adam, you said Irish single malt. Doc, you said American single malt. It is actually Scottish single malt.
It is which one?
So it's Scottish.
Okay.
Scotland. Adam, you kept your proof at 100. Doc, you went 92.2. So we're at 122.2. Adam, you said ex-bourbon. Doc, you said new and then a tequila finish. So, Adam, you're going to take a point on that one. Adam, you said the Cooley Distillery. Doc, you said Westward with a Teeling single malt, Adam, and an SMWS bottle for Doc. I screwed up on points, so hold on 1 second here. Yeah, okay. So, Doc, you got lucky and landed the bottle. It is an SMWS bottle.
Oh, wow.
So you take 2 points on that. but it is the SMWS. The name of this bottle is Journey to the Back of the Cupboard. I love their unique names. But the distillery on this is Distillery 28, which is Telebardine, that really long one. But this is a 7-year-old single malt Scotch, first fill ex-bourbon, distilled on the 11th of September in 2013. So it is a young Scotch. You called that out while you were tasting it, that it was very light malt and it was fairly young. So you are correct. It is a young malt. So we end the points at Adam with 8, Doc with 7. Another very close battle.
I didn't do too bad.
No, you did great. You both did great.
What did Nora get? Do you have your notes in front of you by any chance?
Nora got 7.
Yes.
I knew you guys were going to have a little personal competition.
Hold on. Hey, I'm gonna grab one of the bottles that I'm gonna give you the option of getting, since I'm a man of my word. But let me grab them real quick.
Well, that was fun. I'm impressed and feeling a little humbled too.
Yeah, it is a humbling experience. I mean, it's absolutely very difficult. I mean, when I did mine with last season's winner, I mean, we scored 3 and 2, I think, and yeah, it's just difficult.
Is that how it ends? Are you the last boss?
So we did it as an exhibition before this season started. So
That's pretty cool. I like that idea. All right, so these are the 2 bottles I'm thinking you might not have. They're a little bit harder to get outside of Texas. So one is Still Austin Blue Corn, the new one. I actually just got this one again today. Or, I'm sure you guys have heard the Rebecca Creek, the double barreled. A lot of people talking about it.
Oh, man. I love Still Austin. I definitely have not been able to get my hands on that one, so that's probably where my eyes would
Still
go.
Austin,
For them, but it was not there.
Yeah, they just hit here. So they came out of the distillery about 2 weeks ago, I want to say, and then they hit here some last week, and then today when I went into today's got it in today, and then they're doing their cigar blend release tomorrow.
I've heard that's like the Pappy of Texas whiskey.
I think it's gonna be. There's only
I had to do it.
There's only like 600 bottles made. It's a Nancy Fraley blend, and I can't wait to try it. I'm blessed that my in-laws are going to go sit out there, and if it's raining or cold, and go sit out there for me to go grab it for me, because I'm not anywhere near it. So
yeah, that is nice of them. Martin, that is the young and sprightly flavor profile in that light pink.
So on Instagram, you're on the Instagram with me. Just send me your information so I can hand deliver this one to you. It probably won't go out I probably won't be able to do it till next week. I leave town tomorrow for our anniversary, and then I'll get that out to you.
So yeah, you got to get out of here and resume.
I haven't heard any screaming or yelling yet, but they could just be plotting. I mean, that could always be the case.
Yes, almost always they are. But we're at 1 hour and 3 minutes. I mean, you're still really, really tight in there. You did give yourself a 15-minute window.
Yeah,
so
not too bad. And actually, I'm happy with my results. I mean, I know you said, Adam, it was humbling for you, but I didn't think I'd even do that close. But I got the 0 in the first round. I thought, ooh, has anybody not scored a point yet?
Yes, actually, that's pretty common. It's more common than you think.
Okay, I was thinking, well, I could be the first to not score any points.
No, then it happens. It does definitely happen. Because what happens is you think it's, well, it's exactly what happened there. You went for a single pot still. And so then what happens is those following guesses are just not where it's at.
Yep.
And yeah, that's absolutely fine. But, just because you tasted it as a single pot still doesn't mean you're silly. It's just how it works,
Yep. And once you get your head wrapped around that, you just start going down that rabbit hole.
It's 100% exactly right. Yeah.
But a lot of things I've not tried before, so I'm pretty excited. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good. I'm glad. Marshall is excited to possibly go up against Adam. So he's got to get through. He's got to get through the points leader now on February 12th. Adam, that means I don't know how your schedule looks, but your next show then, Adam, would be January 15th.
Let's sidebar about that because I think I might be in Hawaii, so that might be
okay. And so if we can figure out anything ahead of time to either switch things around, I can switch dates easily or whatever at the current moment, or we can possibly talk about doing a pre-record and then just airing it as a premiere. We can do that, so we can figure something out because I know you're going to be one of the hardest ones to nail down on a schedule because obviously you're very busy and traveling a lot. So
visiting every distillery that we ever work with means I'm on the road a lot.
Doing the Lord's work.
For me, having to go to Hawaii from Vermont in January, that's going to be brutal.
I mean, there's worse things.
Yeah, we're definitely making that one. Nora's coming along. We're making it a vacation. We're going all
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't go to Hawaii and just be like, it's only for work, so I got to go by myself.
We are going there to visit distilleries, but that we're going to talk on a week for fun things.
What distillery in Hawaii? I'm just curious.
There are it's actually mostly rum distilleries. Not saying we're about to do rum or anything. Don't get excited. But we just want to check it out, check out the scene there, and learn a bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, I actually have
bourbon too, but
I have something Hawaiian on my floor because my brother-in-law just moved over there, and my wife went to go help him move, and she brought me something back, but I don't remember what it is. But it should be. Let me see. This one's a rum.
Oh, cool.
And then this one's a blended whiskey.
And that's from Hawaii?
Yeah. Trying to see if I can get it focused. There we go.
There you go.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are, I've been meaning to make a Hawaiian drink, old fashioned out of them. I just haven't had time to get to them. So, yeah. So pretty
time.
Cool.
The enemy of everything is time.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I tell you.
Especially when you film a cocktail, takes a lot longer to do.
Yeah. And yeah, I can imagine that does. And the setup does and all that. So, but everybody in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you tremendously. I don't do this for any other reason than to see your lovely comments in the chat. That's not entirely true, but we're going to go with that anyways. Doc, Adam, thank you guys for hopping on with me and entertaining me on this. You both did an excellent job. Congratulations, Adam, on the win, squeaking it out. And Doc, as usual, I will see you on your next live stream at least. I'll pop in and say hi and what's up. And I try to get around a little bit. I don't hit the chat too hard because usually what happens is I got it on and I'm doing other things, so I can't get into the chat too much, but I do like to pop in and stay in there. So
yeah, hopefully next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday I should hopefully be able to do one. That's perfect. Kind of cool. So.
I get the notification when you're going to do one, so it's nice to be able to do that. Yes, everybody on your way out the door, please hit that thumb, hit that sub button, and until we are going to go next week. Yes, we don't have a week off in between here. So next week, December 11th, Wednesday, Chelsea Uncharted versus Joe's Whiskey Den. And then December 12th, the final show of round one, Brian D. Whiskey versus Le Purifoy, who is a gentleman from Louisiana that doesn't do a lot of whiskey content, but he really enjoys the spirit. So we'll see how that goes for us. There is going to be a little bit of difference next week. Brian did have some shoulder surgery. Is on some medication that he cannot drink. So he drank the samples before the surgery, wrote his stuff down, and we will go over it on the show live. He will be there, just not drinking. So, see, I like to try to accommodate everybody. So until next week, everybody, I better put something in this glass. Otherwise, I'm going to cheers with an empty glass. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Doc, Adam, thanks for joining. And until next week, cheers.
Cheers
To this
Thank you,
American
guys.
spirit. Thank you. Thank you.